No, you are in fact, you are very much in the right.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Yes, it is time for us to look at the newspapers. And the Standard here has a picture of our President William Ruto holding a very big samaki.
Yeah.
Very big samaki. You know what is trending right now?
Yeah.
Is the grand coalition that is in a nusa, because actually that is what it is being said to be. Will Ruto Raila pact yield new super alliance? That's the question in the air. So they are calling it a political marriage.
Yeah.
And you definitely have seen some memes which people are making. The president's tour of Raila Odinga's backyard has birthed talk of a political coalition among their allies as calls for a strong political union dominated speeches, and the head of state declaring that the current pact would yield more fruit in the future. But will the newfound camaraderie, I don't know if that's how you read that, camaraderie, okay, guys, your camaraderie, that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
You know, he has gone to Kisumu, so
lazima
we have to associate some jargon.
Yeah. Big word.
Yeah, newfound camaraderie concertize. Jamani, sije nikajuma mdomo mimi. But page 2 is that particular story being told in more detail. I see Ruto's Nyanza ignites talk of grand coalition for 2027 election. I see here ODM officials and Raila's close allies push for a political marriage akin to Azimio coalition. President says his collaboration with Raila will not end with support for his bid for AUC post. John Mbadi, Treasury Cabinet Secretary here, saying it is true that we did not vote for President Ruto in the last election, but he made this marvelous appointment. What the president has done shows that you should know a neighbor to eat with. Okay, very interesting, and this is a story well written on page 2 of the Daily Nation. I don't know if they have covered something on this is the Standard. I don't know if they've covered it.
They have also covered the same. It's it's also extensively covered, but they take a different trajectory, because they're saying for the nation, they are focusing on what they are calling silent war in Ruto's Nyanza tour. Actually, they're saying there is a subtle contest for attention of Raila supporters. So here, the prize is Raila supporters, and they are saying that both President Ruto and his deputy Gachagua are jostling for the limelight. Yeah, so they're saying Ruto and his deputy Gachagua have had tense relations recently, and while the visit to the stronghold of their arch rival turned ally Raila Odinga has presented them with a stage to demonstrate their camaraderie, surprise developments have exposed the bubbling tensions beneath. So they're saying the attention on page 4 and 5, what could be happening? They're saying videos by the president's team edit out Gachagua, while those made by the deputy president's brigade are careful not to show Ruto.
Where?
Don't you think this is petty? Let's be honest.
It's very petty.
Surely. Wewe usiingie kwa video yangu, hii video yangu. Surely.
Something is just
Yeah, so in short, that is what they are talking about on page 4 and 5. But also there is a picture there of the president, his deputy, and the governor. Yesterday he was in Homa Bay. So the area governor, Gladys Wanga, when they were hosted there, they are assessing the work in progress on the Homa Bay town market. So you can read that on pages 4 and 5 inside the Daily Nation. Yes.
And even now that you've mentioned Gladys Wanga, I see her very own statement here saying that she said the president deserves praise for bringing the country together. The Homa Bay governor said they were committed to working with Ruto for the long term. This is where you just sit and wait and observe and see what really comes out of this, because sometimes it's just hard to really know what they're up to. It's difficult to just say, okay, this is it, because you don't know if there will be a flip in the next few months or a flip in the next year. So we just wait and see what happens, and hopefully whatever happens will be for the good of this country, because that is the main thing. It's not about their relationships, because they can be brothers for all we care.
They are.
In fact, they are.
Just that they put a show for us.
Exactly. And now we don't know what's happening, if this is even more of a show than what we would expect. But what I know is that our prayer is one, that Kenya becomes a better place. No matter what happens, however this plays out, our prayer is that Kenya becomes a better place. And indeed, we will see change, not just mere talk, but actual change. But my prayer also is that now that the opposition is like this with the current government, my prayer, my real prayer is that, you know, the government still has to be put in check, because again, if now we are together, how will we call out?
My friend, for me, I'm very excited that all of them are in one basket. The opposition now is the professional bodies. The opposition now is the Kenyan people themselves. You remember the Gen Z and the whatever with the finance bill of 2024. So for me, I'm excited because it's now Kenyans demanding for accountability, transparency, integrity, good governance directly.
Opposition or not.
There's no opposition. Now they are all in government. So the opposition now is the people of Kenya. And you have seen the people who are now even, like case in point is this guy, Morara, who has been traversing and checking what has been launched and relaunched and everything. And so whether for me, it's a good thing that now all of them are in one basket. So they will not, there will be no, sijui, it's the government, it's the opposition. No. All of you now
are in one place. Work together now.
To deliver to the people. If you bring any oppressive law or policies, you will not say it's the government.
Nyinyi wote mkiwa pamoja.
So as they're saying, so don't you be worried. We have professional bodies. We have even non-government organizations. So they will be calling out anything that goes astray. So if the president, I don't know his reasons, but if his reasons were to bring the opposition and then now know that everything will pass without questioning, they were not in the streets when the finance bill. It was the Kenyan people.
It was the Kenyan people.
Exactly.
And they are enough, well equipped to bring change.
Yes.
That is
even
very
if
true.
they try anything fishy, ni wote wataenda. So
it's true.
Relax.
It's because I remember some time back, you know, the opposition was inciting people to go for maandamano because of the high cost of living. But now you guys are in one place. So high cost of living, we blame both of you because you are now together. Kwani hamuongei huko kwenye mko?
Kwanza now the opposition members are now holding those very critical dockets. They are now in charge of treasury. So in terms of policies and all, you're there.
We wait and see. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We wait and see. I mean, I'm looking forward to the next 1 year or so, because I think that will be enough time to really see from a you know, I don't know, a hind perspective, like what really has happened. But of course, you know, what is happening is the AUC posted no easy road as Raila sets sights on Addis Ababa, while his lunch was all smiles. Road to Addis Ababa is paved with geopolitical issues. Raila faces 3 other candidates from Djibouti, Mauritania, and Madagascar. So we definitely wait and see how this will play out. Wish him all the best. And I see here Eastern Africa is also faced with the Anglophone, Francophone divide, where Mauritius, Djibouti, and Madagascar are Francophone, as are other 17 countries in the Eastern, Western, Northern, and Central Africa. Francophone is something we are going to look up in the dictionary. since it has been quite repeated. But you look at that story on page 3 of the Daily Nation, and of course of the Standard, sorry. And page 4 is a story that we did cover yesterday of former Samburu Governor Moses Lenokulal, yes, from power to prison. How Lenokulal was nailed for graft. Former governor was handed 8 years in jail. He has an option of paying 85.4 million to retain his freedom. And governors, former and serving, facing charges. I see here we have former Migori Governor Okoth Obado. We also see former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waitito, former Busia Governor Sospita Ojamong, former Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero, former Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria, where DPP dropped charges include former Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya and Tharaka Nithi Governor Muthomi Njuki and others convicted with Lenokulal. There are so many. We have former county secretaries, we have chief officer finance. I mean, all these people are just in the government, and we have these cases of corruption like no one's business. I mean, it's a whole list of so many people that were convicted with this former Samburu Governor Moses. I mean, I'm glad that this has actually come out in the open. Hopefully this creates a ripple effect, and we continue to have more people being brought out that have been involved in graft cases. And I see more stories. Elgeyo Village Barry's bride dowry negotiations in Tiari ceremony. Very, very sad story on page 12. And page 6, homecoming celebrations or campaigns. Some analysts say events are political platforms as well as a wastage of resources. Others feel the events encourage national healing. These are the homecomings. And I see here homecomings or elaborate political feast events are now a common feature in Kenya's politics and discourse. They are commonplace in the country's political space. We are well-connected leaders organized to celebrate achievements like government or appointments or even winning an election. But again, it looks like a lot of money is being spent to do and organize such things. Is it necessary, really?
Good question.
Is it necessary? Is it necessary? It's almost like, you know, it's missing the point of why you've been elected. Because now, why am I celebrating? I should be sitting down to think of how do I actually get down to work? How do I get down my tools and get to work for the country? But anyway, that's a story on page 6. Page 8, SRC scorecard. We've saved 11 billion shillings in 6-year fiscal overhaul. This was achieved through freezing allowances, salary structures, and expenditures. However, wage bill has increased and is expected to grow even further. And 11th September is when the SRC chairperson and her 6 commissioners' 6-year term will come to an end. This is a story on page 8. And moving on, I see page 12, Kenyans linked to impending disruption of internet market. I think we've seen this going on. Elon Musk's Starlink services are cheaper, faster, and have a wider reach. Shoe seems on the other foot for Safaricom. Starlink's entry presents a significant threat to Safaricom's market share, especially in undeserved areas where connectivity is a challenge. Chirchir and Thuo's involvement could disrupt the status quo. So we wait and see. There is a disruption happening. I mean, Safaricom has been one that is untouchable. So now it's the question of what happens, because nowadays when something new comes in, everyone is rushing to it, and especially with the fact that sometimes when you're using the Safaricom lines, network haishiki kwingine, but this Starlink is attempting to actually solve that issue. So it is going to, it is said to almost cause a disruption when it comes to what we are used to with the Safaricom market share. And moving on, let's look at the business standard here. Pension assets hit 1.9 trillion as RBA raises concerns over remittance. Contributions withheld by public sector schemes amount to over 100 billion. And looking at the sports page, holders Real face Liverpool BVB in new look Champions League. The new format will feature 36 teams with each club playing 8 matches. Arsenal have been drawn against Inter and Paris. And page 39, will Nakuru get back to its glory days in football? Nakuru County used to be home of many Premier League clubs that have since gone under. Football stakeholders say they can learn from past mistakes and make the county vibrant. And lastly, Paris Paralympics open in blaze of hope and inclusivity. Page 38.
All right, Daily Nation, we look at the front page. Just this, you had mentioned this, Lenol Kulal gets slap on the wrist. Anti-corruption court orders the former Samburu governor to pay 83.4 million shillings fine and be barred from public office for 10 years. It's on page 6. Back page, I see behind the scenes efforts to end strike by teachers. They're saying teachers confirm last phase of 2021-2025 CBA has been factored in August salaries. And so they are saying as the strike by the teachers enters day 4, various stakeholders in the education sector are involved in efforts to end the industrial action affiliated to the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, and you can read that on the back page. Still on the back page, Maisha number rollout on, but it's only for those who are willing, and the government has stuck to its plans of rolling out digital ID cards known as Maisha number, but has clarified that Kenyans who are reluctant to apply will not be coerced to do so. Immigration and Citizen Services Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok said it is for the best interest of Kenya to embrace the digital cards and that the government is not planning to carry out a mass registration as was witnessed during the outlawed Huduma number in 2019. You can read that as well. Page 10, Ruto's night talks to stop aviation employees strike. It's on page and number 10, and they are saying that union says cabinet secretary has not provided it with the documents demanded as directed by Ruto. And last month, President Ruto told Kenyans to ignore peddlers of fake news. But a meeting between a workers' union and government officials at State House over the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport Adani Group deal on Monday evening failed to agree on averting a strike. You can read that on page 10. And Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout closed for 45 days, and the flow of traffic on Uhuru Highway, Nairobi, will be disrupted for a month and a half following the closure of Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout. And Ken has said the road would remain closed from 31st August to October 15 to facilitate construction work. So you need to take note of that. Then the Nation on page 2 and 3, they are asking to retire or still hang on. Dilemma of GOAT Kipchoge. The champion is showing the world exactly what 21 years of road running does to the human body. But perhaps we should focus more on what that much time living as a supernatural athlete has done to his brain. And you can read that on page 2 and 3 as well. IBC eyeing over 400 million shillings from poll petition losers. Read that as well. And then we go to the pullout, the DN2 pullout this morning. It is The Voice, and they focus on women leading land restoration, Northern Kenya. For decades, the narrative of rural Africa has been one of struggle, resilience, and survival. However, a group of women is rewriting a chapter on climate change, leveraging the power of science and technology to restore landscapes. It's on page 4 and 5 inside the pullout, so get to read a thing or two there. I also see as I go to the business section, Jubilee Holdings half-year profit to 2.5 billion shillings. Also, I see Kenya's avocado exports to China decline by 80%. Higher sales lift Crown Paints half-year profit. Read that on the business section. The sports news, double amputee Sururu takes another claim to Paralympic glory. International competitors enlist for September 8th at Nairobi City Marathon. I also see tensions boil over at Kenya Motorsports Federation. This man, Soy, former powerful knock official on a knife edge. What's happening? Read that on the sports pages. And quickly, the Business Daily. They report that banks defy hard times to report huge profits. Earnings by top 10 listed banks rise by 25.2 billion shillings, and bank firms struggle with high interest rates. And then state rental income up 176% amid higher rates plan. Read that as well. And I see a quote by Jaindi Kisero. CBK has asked the market regulator to investigate recent bond trades between some market players and the NSSF. It's on page 9, and you can grab your favorite copy of your daily, get to see what's being reported across the dailies, and also let's continue to pray for our nation. Absolutely.
And of course, right about now, we are going to be taking a short break, but this is to also usher us into the VOD. So let's have a look at it, and then we'll come back and talk about it.